At the start of every racing year, racing fans across the globe turn their attention to the world center of racing. We are just 1 week away from kicking off the SimSeats RealSimRacing Cup Series and seeing if anyone can challenge Andrew Farinaj and stop him from taking a 4th consecutive Cup Series championship. Hello and welcome to Daytona Speed Weeks and the Daytona Duels as we welcome you to the first round, almost, of the SimSeats Full Throttle Cup Series. My name is Arjuna Kankipati, filling in for Evan Pasoko, who's on commentary duties for another Cup Series today, Jonathan. But I'm excited. We are 1 week away from kicking off our season for the real, and today it's all about locking yourself in to the Daytona 250.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on a lot of guys to try and get a good solid spot. There's a lot of guys down the field that didn't qualify well, that are not locked in. Only the top two, the two pole sitters that we're going to see tonight, are already locked into the show. And this could mean something too, as say a big name like Farinaj or Eberhardt gets taken out in a crash. They could be knocked out. So this race is going to be key, and it's going to be really, really exciting for the weeks to come.
And for Farinaj, I'm just taking a look at my notes. We'll roll off an 8th position in our first duel of the day. And you do want to watch out for that. There are different cutoff lines depending on which heat you're in. Let's take a look, though, at the series schedule and talk a little bit about the journey that these drivers will go on over the course of the year. Because, Jonathan, it's 30 races, very different racetracks, and just like the real world is going to go to a number of interesting road courses over the course of 2021, we're going to do the same. I said it 1 week ago. I can't wait till round number 10, Circuit of the Americas, and the May 24th race that we'll have.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see what each driver brings to the table. We talk a lot about Andrew Farinaj, and a lot of people that maybe tune in and says, why do you talk so much about this guy? Well, I did my track facts. He's won 25% of the races he's raced in. So he's dominant, but there's other guys out there. Daniel Eberhardt showed a resurgence in the Winter Series. Newcomer Matt Danson is incredibly strong on the road courses, but does know how to turn left and put a challenge to Andrew Farinaj. So any race can be exciting, and it's going to be a challenge, I think, for every driver throughout the series.
And then you head into the playoffs as well. 16 down to 12, down to 8, and then the final 4, November 8th at Phoenix. Let's take a look, though, at the starting grid for Duel number 1. 230-lap races on the docket today. And first up, we'll start with 25 cars. Adam de Blasio on the inside of row number 1. Jaron Weinmaster will start in 2nd, with Michael Lariah in 3rd, Joseph Tyson 4th, James Ross in 5th, and then John Rodden in 6th. And Jonathan, take us through the next 6.
Brian Shameless in the 25, rolls off P7, defending champion Andrew Farinaj in P8. Brandon Bui, a longtime racer in this series, coming back after a 2-year absence in 9th. Daniel Eberhardt in 10th. Michael Moser in the 54 in 11th, and Shane Parrish in the 81 in 12th.
Eric de Blasio lines up then in 13th, with Dominic Howe on his outside in 14th. Sean Casto lines up in the 52 in 15th position, with Trevor Trago in 16th. RaceSpot's own Gary Weaver in the 99 back in 17th place, with Carl Trudell in the 7 on his outside.
Garrett Hess, a change of number. He was the 00 in the winter. Now he's the 84, starting in the 19th position. Bobby Krug in the 20th position. Sam Nieto from Flat Out Motorsports in 21st. Tom Morano in 22nd. Martinez Major in 23rd, and our own Dylan Coyle in 24th.
Hi, guys.
There is Dylan Cole. One more starter, Trevin Valderrama, to complete 25. In fact, he's not rolling off today, so it does a slightly different picture in terms of the eliminations. I'm also seeing, Jonathan, on my timing screen, Adam de Blasio. Of course, he locked himself in 1 week ago. He's not taken to the grid either. That's going to mean one more spot on the offer tonight.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate the sacrifices. That means that there's another chance for me to not look like a total embarrassment, on the broadcast itself.
Well,
Actually,
Jonathan,
I think
where does
it leaves the scenario the same, that 3 drivers will be eliminated. If Valderrama isn't here,
right,
and de Blasio is not lining up, then it leaves, the scenario I think is the exact same.
No, you're right. It just moves that cutoff line. We'll take a look in at our driver wall. And Dylan, just talk to us as you get ready to go racing, how excited you are.
I'm not really excited. I just want to try and get through this one. I mean, there's no points on the offer. It's just don't get eliminated here, which is the goal. I was at the actual Daytona, and I couldn't partake in qualifying, so starting 24th. Arjuna, take this start away.
Pace car down onto the safety of pit lane. Hopefully we won't see it, but down into the start zone we go. Jaron Weinmaster, Michael Larai on the front row of the grid now. We go green flag racing, 30 laps in our opening duel here at the World Center of Racing. 2x2 throughout the entire field, Jonathan. And you were talking to me in the build-up to this race. The Daytona duels in the real world and on the simulator are sometimes some of the cleanest and best racing we get at plate tracks across the season.
I think it's because people know what's at stake, and getting at the end of this field and getting eliminated is scary from the big race, especially if you're a big name. You know, getting eliminated from the first race of the season, you don't want that. As right now, everybody seems to be calm, just kind of feeling out where they want to be in the draft. It's a lot different as well from the main race. The main race will be in the day. This is at night.
So top 21 will advance as we finish 1 out of our 30 laps here. They go 3 wide as I think that's Daniel Eberhardt trying to take a couple of people up onto that outside line with him. No one following just yet. Like Jonathan says, I think everyone knows what's at stake. And right now, 2x2 throughout the entire field, except for Eberhardt, who's now falling back and can't afford to fall back too much here, Jonathan.
No, but it's a really, really thin cutoff line. It's only those last 2 positions, 22nd and 23rd, that will not make the main show, but he's going to have to be careful. I really don't want to be in that mid-group, even if it's just a duel race. Because if something goes wrong at the front, you can get involved. If something goes wrong at the rear, you can still get involved if people don't catch up under caution.
So correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Sorry to cut you off. It's 2 drivers that are in this race right now will be eliminated by the fall of the checkered, correct?
Yes, and I was just about to ask you, Dylan. You're riding around at the back right now. You see a couple of cars 2 wide in front of you. What are you thinking?
I will not really push until we're at a point where I need to push. I'm thinking that there will not be absolute clean racing, because while there is a push, you know, to not get a did not start for the 500 or the 250, that is, there's also a lot of thinking of, well, drivers do want to have a better starting position for the 250. They don't want to be in a position that I'm currently in. So I'm just thinking, you know, I want to sit back a little bit. I trust some of the drivers I'm currently around, namely Weaver, Nieto, Morano. I've had some races where he and I have run very cleanly together, so I'm trusting this back of the pack fairly well. So we'll see what happens as the race continues, but I'm not taking any chances as it currently sits. Oh,
there's a push up on that outside line right now. Not sure who those cars
big slowdown.
They're getting a bit.
There's a car
feisty out front, Jonathan.
I'm not sure if you guys saw. There's a car that's blinking a lot, and they're up front.
So it looks like we might have a blinker with technical issues. On the outside, though, that's Daniel Eberhardt being pushed from behind. 3 cars on that high line, Jonathan, getting connected together right now. They're not really making too much headway, though.
No, but I think this is a little bit of payback from the Las Vegas race at the Winners Series. Eberhardt may have pushed Freenage a little bit to get Freenage into the winning position that he needed. And this is also a good time to find some drafting partners, find some different guys. You know, Daniel's teammate is in the other race, Sean Kalist. So he doesn't have a teammate right now to really work with.
And Dylan Cole has now made his way up into 21st place. So Michael Moser and Gary Weaver, the 2 cars that will be cut after the next 25 laps are done. 5 laps are done now, Jonathan. And there we go. It's getting a bit more hectic. A few cars being a bit more aggressive. Onboard look with Bobby Krug, up 12 positions so far.
Yeah, he's kind of going to be a guy, I think, to watch out for and see how he develops over the season. He was running kind of mid-pack in the Winter Series, and this is going to be a little bit of a proving ground, I think, the Cup Series for him, as he gets really close to the 14 of James Ross in front of him.
Nice little bump there, and oh, they're getting squirrely on the second line. You can see just in that shot.
That's
the 86 big one. No. That's the big one. First caution in our duels, and looks like half the field has been caught up in that one. Take a look at the smoke that's now erupted on track, as that's the 42 car down onto the apron. and that will be day done for them. Replay coming in just a few moments, Jonathan. And I said they were getting feisty.
Wow. I have a little bit of damage, but I feel like I got out of it. I don't know how. It felt like the sea parted in between for me. I'll still hold somewhat some sort of pace, but I'm happy with it.
That's all you need, because I think there's severe damage on Dominic Howe, and then the 64 or the 84 of Garrett Hess, and then also big name involved, the 88 of Freenage.
Howe claims it.
And Howe does claim it, so that will be an end-of-line penalty for the number 86, but he's already down on pit lane with significant damage, and unfortunately there, it seems like a couple of cars are going to miss out. The likes of Dylan Coyle up into 15th, though. Let's see, maybe can take one more look at it here and get an onboard look at Dylan's perspective and see how he slotted his way through the carnage. You did see a bit of contact there.
Yep.
A number of cars now missing significant portions of both the front and rear bodywork. Looks like there, the number 86, Jonathan, might even have some suspension damage.
Yeah, you see right ahead, it's going to be that 33 of John Roden that comes down and takes the draft almost off of Dominic Howe to really upset the car, and then there was really nowhere for a lot of these guys to go. You know, it happens at the front of the field, it happens so quickly.
And so a number of cars down onto pit road this time around, I would assume, trying to get some damage repair as well. Not sure, Dylan, if you're going to need any fuel to the end. What's your crew chief telling you down on pit road?
I mean, there's no real need to get fuel. I'm just putting it in just because, you know, it's not really going to affect anything, except my own conscience. But I'm looking at my screen. I have 40 seconds left of optional repairs, so I'm pretty good. I don't know how I made it out of there. I'm not sure what you guys saw from the replay, but it really did look like a lot of things opened up for me. I know I have had some damage, but you know what? It's all about survival here. And in terms of strategy, it's just, yeah, I have tires put on the car. We have one extra set of tires. Tires are not going to be huge here, especially for a 20-lap or so stint. But the most important thing for me is just getting all of the damage I can possibly get fixed. Pace car's 20 seconds behind me. I've got 3 seconds of optional repairs to go. So I'm feeling fairly confident, at least for the rest of the race. And I think what you will see, by the way, is that if it is an absolute that there is everyone still running will not be out of the race or out of the Daytona 250 coming in on next Monday, you're going to see a lot more aggressive behavior, because then it becomes truly a race just to see where you're going to start at Daytona. And I mean, would you rather be someone who's at the front of the field and gets to avoid all of that carnage just by your starting position? Or would you want to be someone like me who gets very lucky that they didn't take that much damage? I mean, I don't know about you, but I'd prefer to be the guy who doesn't have to worry about avoiding the wreck.
Well, Jonathan, I poked some fun at you in our chat. You were saying that some of our big names might get mixed up in trouble. What have you done to Andrew Freenage? Because he's down on pit road. He's been stationary for 2 entire minutes already. And he's in danger of not coming out, as well as Freenage. Eberhardt down on pit road. Bobby Krug still on pit road. You've cursed some of these biggest names to really struggle here in this first duel.
Wow.
Not my fault.
Yeah, it's your fault.
It was an accident when there was
Most things are your
at the
fault.
front of the field. And unfortunately for Freenage and Eberhardt, they were trying to make that outside line work, and they were just victims of circumstances. And I think they're doing the smart thing by at least staying on pit road for some extended repairs, because I think Dominic Howe and Tom Morano have got the worst of it, so they might be okay. It's only those last 2 spots that are getting eliminated.
Well, 19 cars then rolling around on track as Bobby Krug catches the back of the pack and will rejoin and form up as we get ready to go back to green flag racing. Lap 9 out of 30 about to finish in our opening duel here at the World Center of Racing, and hopefully that pace car will get a bit of an extended breakdown on the safety of pit lane. The top 7 cars have not pitted, and as a result, Gary Weaver, all the way from the back of the pack, up into 7th position. Take a look off the back of the pace car as well. Sorry, Dylan, you're about to say something.
Well, I will say, whoever wins this starts on row number 2. This is going to be some good racing in the last 20.
That's true, they're not fighting for the front row. Early jump there for Joseph Tice, back to green flag racing, and the 48 of Jaron Weinmaster is getting mugged down the inside by Michael Lara. Great start there for the inside row, and everyone just forming up now, Jonathan. Who's that down on the pit road, though, getting up to speed?
21.
And de Blasio, I think he might have had an internet issue and didn't connect. Which that could be a factor depending on how long Howe and Morano stay on pit road. And there's Eberhardt running around wounded. That could be a factor depending on how many positions that 21 picks up.
Eberhardt off of pit road, rolling around in 20th with Farinaj, Howe, and Morano, 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. Oh, more contact. The 48 almost up into the wall. Gary Weaver slings it down the inside. They are getting very aggressive now, Jonathan, though.
I think Dylan mentioned it a little bit earlier. It's a little loose in that center of the corner with these fixed setups, and we saw it right there, that 14 car of James Ross just getting a little sideways, and unfortunately poor Jaron Weinmaster. This run is not going as well. He spins the tires on the start, and now he's all on his lonesome on the outside.
They are getting a bit more single-filed as well now. You see back in the pack, who's this for taking a look on board with? Gary Weaver wearing that VR headset, up 13 positions, Jonathan up into 4th. That's exactly what he would have wanted. And given what some of the other cars have had to deal with through that incident, Weaver might even be starting towards the front of this field.
And I think that's good news for Weaver. He was another guy that I think had a lot of bad luck in the Winter Series. Just things didn't go his way, got caught up in accidents that were not of his own making. A good start to the Daytona 250, and maybe even a good finish come next week, I think will really energize him and maybe make this 99 car a factor.
And this is really the preseason test, right? This is where, especially going into Daytona, where you just said it a few laps ago, where you'll be testing out who's going to be working with you in the draft, who's really good at pushing people along. We've seen in plate races in RSR competition before just how important working together is. Look at these 3 cars hooked up on the high line. Jaron Weinmaster being pushed to the front of the field again.
He's got that 84 of Garrett Hess behind him. Garrett was kind of like not really mentioned a lot in the Winter Series. However, he really did impress me at Talladega. He ran very, very well up until the end. We got caught up in a late race accident running that 00, but now I think this is going to be a time for him to try and really grow and shine. It's a much longer season, and there's a lot less risk, I think, for the 84 as compared to when he was riding the 00 in the Winter Series. And a good move to get down to the inside. Weinmaster is all on his lonesome now again.
And it's Muntassi Major in the 82 car that's now going to tow up to the back of Weinmaster, shove him along once again. Muntassi, another car up from the back of the field, very impressively. He's had to come down pit road, so he might have a little bit of damage there, but let's see if Weinmaster and him can work together. Everyone else, once again, tucked down on that low line. Great shot here across the start-finish line. Our producer, Hugo Luis, trying to just show off very slightly, as finally Major and Weinmaster tucked up, and Weinmaster now challenges for the race lead. The 7 car as well of Kyle Trudell is pulled out to that second line further back of
lapped cars.
And we're coming up on lapped cars. Dylan Cole, what are you seeing?
Lapped cars up high, passing on the backstretch. They're slowing down. Thankfully, it looks like we're going to get away from it. I will say this. Inside line, it's going very slow. I think it's because there's a lot of guys who aren't necessarily used to super speedway racing with each other, and it can bunch up very quickly. I'm trying to catch up to the outside line. Unfortunately, I couldn't necessarily go with Chambliss. Chambliss was behind me. He made a smart move and went down to the inside when he could. And, well, you see the amount of space he has away from me right now. So this race is very much up for the taking of anyone in this field.
And there's 4 cars who, for a moment, were stacked up on that high line as we see this onboard back in the pack. And Dylan Cole weaves and tries to find his way into that draft of the cars on the outside line. We're about to cross the line to get to the halfway point in this race. 1 caution so far, and they're 2 wide, 3 deep at the front of your field, with 21 spots on offer in next week's Daytona 250. Across the line we'll go then, Jonathan. I'm wondering, for some of these cars in the pack, you've got Andrew Farinaj still down on pit lane. If you're Daniel Eberhardt, at what point are you safe and can finally stop running around with that wounded car as Weinmaster is about to get pushed to the race lead?
I think the scariest thing right now is the fact that Edna Blazier is back in the room, because if he finishes higher than 21st, that does move the cut line and it might cut Freenage out. Right now, Freenage is safe. Eberhard, I'm thinking, might be safe. He's only 3 laps down, and he's kind of minding his own business.
Well, it's if De Blasio.
There is Freenage, as Jonathan has just spotted. He's finally finished his repairs. 8 minutes, 20 seconds stationary in his box. And now he'll roll around and try and preserve that 21st and final transfer spot.
Yeah.
Look at that, though, Jonathan. Once again, 4 wide. Sorry, Dylan, not 4 wide.
It's all
They're
good.
Four rows deep on the outside line right now. Like Dylan was saying, that inside just keeps getting checked up, and these guys migrate now to the high line.
Oh, I'm liking the fact that we have a taker out on the outside, just a little too far in front. I need someone to come with me because the speed is obviously on the outside right now, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Just got to keep trying to find a run, find a checkup of some sort. You can see I'm kind of halfway in, halfway out. Not sure exactly where I want to go, but there does look to be some speed on the outside behind me. We'll see what happens.
You might have a friend behind you as well. I think that's Sean Casto in the 52 poking his nose to that outside line. They're 2 rows, sorry, they're 2 wide, 4 rows deep at the front of your field, a bit more spread out further back. And at some point, when they do organize up, like you're seeing them doing a bit more now, they will catch those front cars. And we're going to have a big old train of cars coming to the checkered flag, almost 2/3 of the way through. Looks like Eberhard, though, might have blown his engine, Jonathan. He's down on pit lane.
And again, it just kind of matters where that 21 finishes. And right now, Dominic Howe has left the room. Tom Morano is still down on pit road. So those are the 2 cars out of the race. And there you can see the 90 car of Daniel Eberhard, the SK Racing machine, on pit road. But I think the reason this bottom line gets checked up going into the corners is you can't accurately
There's wrecking,
push.
there's wrecking.
In fact, Winemaster's in the wall. Everyone else scrambles to the inside, manages to avoid him, and we stay green here at Daytona in our first duel. That's separated out the entire pack, and somehow we stay green. And Dylan, what did you see there?
Craziness right now. Wow.
Oh, and you're getting a big old push from Sean Casto
let me
from
take care
behind.
of this.
It's getting intense once again at Daytona, almost 2/3 of the way through. Winemaster now falls all the way down to 16th position. And who's that in the 78 car that's taking advantage of the situation? Sorry, that's not the 78, 79 of Dylan Coyle.
That's me?
That's you
Hello.
right there.
Yeah, I didn't really gain any spots there. I was thinking about just flooring it and trying to go to the outside, but kind of made that decision a little bit too late for what I could have potentially done. This is weird right now, though. Very strange.
But we're taking a look at this replay. Contact between Joseph Tice and Jaron Winemaster. Looks like one car might have had some slight contact with the 48, Jonathan. Everyone else down to the inside and able to get away safely.
Yeah, the problem with going through that tri-oval, and those 2 almost touching the end of turn 2. I don't know if you heard my little gas there. They almost touched the end of turn 2. They've been side-driving each other really aggressively. You can't do that in the tri-oval. That's where you will have and see some really, really big accidents. And now this separates out the field. It's really like this 7, 8, maybe horse race out front if we do stay green.
Does look like, though, Dominic Howe, Tom Morano, the 2 cars that will get eliminated from next week's grid. The Daytona 250, lap 21 out of 30 as we come out of turn 4 to complete this 21st lap. 9 laps to go across the line. And once again, single file at the front of your field. You go back to where Dylan Coyle is. I'm keeping my eye on him right now. They're getting a bit more feisty right now.
Yeah. Remember when I said anyone could win? A caution needs to happen for that to come true. It's just way too spread out right now and really hectic. Everyone's trying to find whatever they can. Shocked a caution wasn't thrown right there. But you know what? Sometimes things happen. Currently in 15th place. Last car besides from me to Winemaster. So, a little boring right now.
Hey, it's a little boring, but it secures your spot in next week's race, and that's
right.
Exactly what you need.
Yeah, this is true. I would like to be fighting for a win, though, in the duel. That would be very nice.
But still a couple laps to go. Don't count your chickens just yet. They're single file a little bit more, but they're getting too wide and formed up now on the outside. Garrett Hess leading that charge. It's Brian Chambliss tucked up behind him, and they're waiting for that third car in line, the 21, to come on up and close the gap and give them a shove down the straightaway. The 37 of Trevor Trago as well pops their nose to the outside, and too wide is forming up once again, Jonathan.
Yeah, I think de Blasio is now going to be a bit of a help, I think, to this outside line. This 37 is going to get a good shove from the back of Garrett Hess and Chambliss. And again, these are some guys that might have had some struggles in the Winter Series and maybe even last year that just kind of need a good result, and this is a good way to get started. But I don't think we've mentioned it yet that 44 of Lariah has been at the front the entire time and probably can get a great starting position tomorrow if he can get around Joseph Tice. Tice has been proven to be a tough customer to pass right now.
I think new colors on that 44, blue and white, looks quite good.
I love it. I love it. It's like
quite
the old
well
Kyle
as well.
Petty colors.
It really looks good, and I think, Jonathan, the one thing that I'm going to miss next week when I'm kicked out of this booth and Evan Pasoka returns to his duties, not only as commentator, but race control as well, is looking at some of these paints, because we really have a good-looking field, and you see there the 8 cars. My oh my, there's some very talented painters in the iRacing community, and they've done some great work here.
Well, Tom Moreno wants some black flags cleared. I think he's going to be coming back out.
Well, Tom Morano is coming back out, and Daniel Eberhardt, who's back down on the pit lane, is separated by about 7 laps. So Tom Morano might have timed this perfectly, as Andrew Freenage now gets past Daniel Eberhardt on the lap count, with Eberhardt stationary on pit lane. That's going to be something to watch out for, Jonathan. I'm not sure if Morano has left this a bit too late.
I'm not sure either. I think the bigger concern is the fact that that 21 is in this lead group right now, and Daniel Eberhardt is still down on pit road. 2 more laps, and the 21 goes to 21st, and Daniel Eberhardt will be eliminated.
Well, remember, it just moves the cut line because Adam de Blasio already locked in to next week's race. So Eberhardt would still be in, but Winemaster down on the pit lane this time around. Is Winemaster giving up the ghost, or is his car giving up the ghost? And that might open the door for Tom Morano. So all sorts of things are kicking off here, and there's still action out on track as well. So great stuff at the World Center of Racing. 5 laps to go as we work down into turn number 1. Dylan, what are you seeing further back?
Lapped cars going extremely slowly because they have so much damage. It's kind of funny, actually. It's not a terribly hard thing to deal with. Freenage, never been that fast by him before. I see some smoke ahead, though. I guess that's just from my view. But yeah, I'm just in a 4-car battle for 12th place. Nothing really exciting going on back here. What's going on up there? It's more exciting.
It's getting exciting. Michael Lariah now down to 3rd on that inside line. Trevor Trago is slotted in between Joseph Tice and Michael Lariah. They're forming up once again on that outside line, but they're getting a bit disorganized for the first time. The guys on the inside, Jonathan, starting to work together a bit more, shoving each other through the corners. I wonder if a few of these guys were a bit more concerned about their engines expiring from pushing early in the race, that they've waited until these last 4 laps to really go hard.
Yeah, and then you also have to be concerned about engine temps. You have to be concerned about how much aero damage you get from bumping someone in front of you. There's actually a lot of thinking when it comes to in this draft. It isn't just hold the throttle and pray. It's a lot of when do you make your moves, when do you try and make that big play. And right now, the play is get around the 1 car, and no one has seemed to be able to do it. And here comes Garrett Hess with Brian Chambliss. This might be his only chance. Trevor Trago is new to the series. Tice is not going to have any idea who he's drafting with behind him.
So on board then with Trevor Trago, I believe, on the outside line. Chambliss on the outside line as he's pushing along the 84 in front of him. He's almost clear, you know, here, Jonathan. It's very close. This is the first time we've seen a real challenge for the race lead.
Yeah, you need some side draft right now. There's a lap car ahead that's going to make things a little complicated, especially in the trial. That 11 car is Eric de Blasio, and my, oh my, is he going slow. But
he lets them go on that high line. Look at them, 4 rows deep of cars right now. 2 laps to go here at the World Center of Racing. Our first duel, we had 1 caution, and I think we're going to be in for one action-packed finish. Look at the outside line forming that momentum. Garrett Hess gets shoved along. He's about to get clear. What does he do, though? Is he going to pop his nose down to the inside? No, he sticks on that outside line, Jonathan. He finally sweeps his way down to the inside. Joseph Tice, no longer your race leader.
I think he wanted Shameless with him. He didn't want that one car behind him. He wanted that 25. 25 is the best pusher in the field, it looks like, and now he's going to have clean air. And what can that 82 do? Tyson Major, can he push Brian Shameless to a win, or is it Garrett Hess's to take?
The 2.5 miles left, white flag in the air. Joseph Tice now tries to find his way past Garrett Hess. Back to the front of your field. Trevor Trago with a late move down to the outside. Tice follows him, tries to block Garrett Hess as well. Tice now with that momentum coming to the race lead in towards turn 3 for the final time. Trago tries to go to the inside. Tice covers him off. It's a drag race now all the way out of turn 4. The cars behind squabbling with each other, not really fighting for the race lead. Tice versus Trago. Here comes Hess with that push from Larai. Does he look below the yellow line? He does, 3 wide at the line, and I think it's Trevor Trago on the outside. He'll take the win here in our first duel at the Daytona International Speedway, and he'll line up in 3rd position in next week's Daytona 250.
Welcome to RSR, Trevor Trago. What a move. What a move to get by Tice. Tice did not make that easy. That was frustratingly difficult, I think, for the 37 to get around, but that was a good, hard-working effort right there.
So great stuff. One solitary caution, and it does look as though Andrew Farinaj, Daniel Eberhardt hold on to those positions. Here's one more look at the finish. Garrett Hess looks below the yellow line, but on the outside. Chambliss pushing Trago, and that 37 car takes the win. Exciting stuff, Jonathan, and once again, we get to do this one more time. We'll re-rack the second grouping of cars in just a couple of minutes' time, and start it up once again for 30 more laps.
And that one's just going to be just as exciting. We have a bit different players in that field, and we get to see what everyone is made of.
The Trevor Trago celebrates then on the front straightaway, and let's take a look at the final race results here from your Daytona Duels, the World Center of Racing. The number 37 takes the win by just under 3 thousandths of a second. Garrett Hess in 3rd, 4 thousandths of a second behind. Brian Chambliss then comes home in 4th. Mintasi Major in the number 82 car will slot home in 5th after starting at the back of the pack, with Michael Laraya in 6th, John Rodden in 7th, Michael Moser in 8th, and then Kyle Trudell, Gary Weaver rounding out the top 10. And take a look, Jonathan, at the rest of the qualifiers.
Yeah, James Ross, Brandon Bui, Sean Casto, Shane Parrish, Dylan Coyle finishing on the lead lap, and then we get to the, this is what we say, like the fallen from the Hunger Games. Bobby Krug was running around with damage, Sam Nieto with damage, Eric de Blasio, major damage on that 11, and then Winemaster and Freenage, limp home. Only 2 drivers eliminated, and thankfully the 88 and the 48 move on.
Final page of results. You see Adam de Blasio in the 21 car. Didn't take to the start of the race. He still comes home in 21st. Daniel Eberhardt in 22nd. Final qualifier for next week's race. Tom Morano, Dominic Howell, they'll be going home, and they'll be watching live on RaceSpotTV in 1 week's time, the Daytona 250. While we wait to hopefully get Trevor Trago, Joseph Tice, and Garrett Hessen for some post-race interviews, let's talk to RaceSpot's own Dylan. Dylan, not sure how exciting the finish was for you there. You came home in 15th place, but after that caution and managing to get away with minor damage, I think you'll be pretty happy.
I'm happy. I wish I would have been happier. Yeah, 30th or give or take around there is where I'm going to be starting in the Daytona 250. But, I'm just happy to be in it. I'm happy to not be one of the guys who unfortunately won't be in it. Shocked about Dominic. And obviously Tom, but Dominic, one of the drivers that was competing for wins, and unfortunately he's going to be out of it. He'll get 10 points for being one of the eliminated drivers, so 10 freebies, but still, it is quite unfortunate. Like I said, I'm happy with where I finished. I just wish it could have been in a little bit a better starting position in a week's time. Obviously, that incident that there was no caution called, you know, give or take, there was no cars that spun. It was weird. But I'm happy to be in the race. And by the way, is it cool if I put my leg up and chill for race number 2, and while I eat some chicken fingers? Is that okay with you guys?
Well, you've got to now see who else is going to join you in next week's race. We've got the top 3 in for interviews then, and we'll start with talking to your race winner, the number 37, Trevor Trago, and Jonathan Burke is standing by.
Well, Trevor, that's a way to introduce yourself into the Real Sim Racing series right there with that win. That was a hard-fought battle, too. How did you fight through that draft? You were well down in the order after that caution came out.
I mean, we had quite a few people helping each other out. Me and Tice, we were in the same channel speaking. So just to be able to race those guys for the win and to make it as clean as it was, that was an amazing feeling to pull that one off.
And walk us through that final lap. You and Tice were running really, really close to each other. Tice blocked you like 2 or 3 times. How did you find that momentum to get around him?
I have no idea. The run we got down that back stretch, I knew we were going to clear the guy on the bottom. Going into 3, I tried to get down before him, but we kind of clipped a little bit, but nothing to like take momentum away. And then just the run off of 4, I still had that same momentum and was able to get to the outside before he could block it.
And then what are you looking forward to, obviously, for next week? It's going to be your first race of the season. And obviously, you're going to get a great starting position. What's going to be the outlook?
Hopefully to repeat. That's the ideal goal, isn't it? But honestly, I'm just excited for the opportunity and just hoping for a great racing season. And then for my sponsors, just to get them out there for Depth Esports, innovative gear, and freshen up hydration.
Anyone else you want to thank before we go? I meant to do that at the end, just in case. I know everyone has their thank yous.
Just the team. I mean, we had Tyson there working out, the de Blasio brothers. I know Eric got caught up in a wreck there, but we were all, communicating with strategy and everything like that. So it was like a joint effort. I'm just glad that one of us was able to walk away with that win.
All right, well, congratulations on collecting the win, and we hope we maybe get to talk to you again sometime this season, and we'll see you next week at Daytona.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, guys.
So that was Trevor Trago, winner in your first duel. What a way to kick off a brand new campaign and a brand new series as well. Let's now talk to series regular, though. Joseph Tice, the number 1 car, who finished in second. Jonathan Burke is standing by.
Well, Joseph, you led the most laps in this race. You were the one kind of dominating that bottom lane, and unfortunately, you only come home second. What was it like out there for you?
Oh man, I'm a little heartbroken I didn't win, but it was a lot of fun. It was a good race. I learned a lot for next week.
And obviously, next week is going to be the big race. You're making some drafting partners. You're making some good moves. What did you learn the most from this race, even though it wasn't a full field?
I think the thing I learned the most is that, the outside lane is going to be coming, and they're going to be, putting somebody in front of you if you're on the bottom, and so you just got to kind of play that line. I never really felt like it was a good line to stay in a long time. I just felt like it was that line where you just got to kind of pop out, make your move, and jump back down. So, good stuff to learn.
And then walk us through that last lap where you and Trago were fighting hard on the last lap. You threw the block 3 or 4 times, and eventually at 37, unfortunately, got around.
Yeah, dang, I thought I had him a couple of times. Yeah, coming off of 2, he popped out kind of in the middle of 1 and 2 behind me, and I was like, he's about to pass me if I don't jump out. So off of 2, I jumped out, and the both of us had momentum to go by the 84, and we rocketed it. And of course, going down into 3, he cut it sharp, and I cut it sharp and blocked him there, and I hoped that was going to be the end of it, but I was looking back at the replay, and I think my mistake was I got too far in front of him in the middle of 3 and 4, gave him too much of a gap. He sucked back up on me, and coming off of 4, I tried to block him, but there was just no blocking that run without wrecking.
And before we let you go, anyone you want to thank? I want to thank whoever made that Hot Wheels paint scheme, because as a lover of the Hot Wheels car Kyle Petty drove, that is beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Kyle Sykes design, if you want one just like it. I love it. I actually saw it, and I fell in love with this paint scheme. So got to thank him. I got to thank, of course, all my flat-out teammates, Sam and Adam, Trigo and Michael, Grant, Bradley, did I forget any? And Eric. I don't think I forgot anybody. We're all kind of, working together this season, having a lot of fun together. It's good to bring on a couple more guys. Thank my Hot Wheels. Thank Dr. Pepper. I obviously drink a lot of that. So thank you guys in the booth. It's always fun catching a broadcast after the race is over, see what y'all were keying in on. And I guess that's about it.
All right, well, congratulations on the second place finish, and we look forward to hopefully talking to you again sometime this season and seeing you next week.
Yep, looking forward to it. Thanks, guys.
So that was second place finisher. He'll line up on the third row on the inside. Final podium interview. Garrett Hess, driver of the 84, third position in today's race, and he's standing by with Jonathan Berg.
Hey, Garrett, it's Jonathan up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, the winner was kind of an up-and-down one for you. You really impressed me at the Talladega race with your ability in the draft, and I think that paid off here tonight with a nice third place for you. How was it out there?
It was okay with that first race. Not the first race, the first wreck. I got lucky by basically net coding through everyone, and then I kind of just worked my way up through the field, and I went below the yellow line because I didn't know if there was a yellow line rule or not. So, sorry if I messed up anyone's finishing position because of that. But yeah, I got third and it feels nice.
Then yeah, you were talking about that first wreck, and then that second incident where you saw that 48 car go in the wall, everyone had to kind of take evasive action. What was it like driving through that? Because you were back kind of midway through that field when that happened.
Yeah, me and the 48 worked our way from near the back to the front, and then I dropped in line, and then after the 48, whatever happened to him, I was like, thank God I moved down, and I kind of just went from there.
And then is there anything you learned from this week and kind of expectations for next week heading into the big race?
I mean, it's probably just more of a I learned how the car handles. I was feeling a little light like entering the corner, so now I have like a decent idea on what to expect from the car, and that's about it. It was a pretty standard Daytona race for me.
And finally, anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
I want to thank my boy Alex Horn, admin of the iRacing forums. Please unban me. I've been a good boy. So that's about it. And I'd like to thank my fellow citizens of Pretoria, Liam Sheen, Dominic Howe, William Schmidt, and that's about it.
All right, Garrett. Well, congrats on the third place finish. We hope to talk to you again sometime this season, and we'll see you next week.
Alrighty, thank you too.
So that was the driver of the 84. Maybe we need to submit that finish as an iRacing top 10, Jonathan, and also put in a special request to Alex to get Garrett's foreman privileges back, because that was a great finish, and maybe we can get Garrett his form access back.
I want to make sure the audio from that interview is included in that finish. That way we get both in.
Wait,
I don't know who's the editing for the top 10 or the not top 10, but I just want to make sure they have all the resources they need to make that good.
Oh, it's Alex Horn, the one and the same. We'll take a look at this finish one more time. It was very exciting. I'm not sure if there is a double yellow rule. Not sure if either of you guys can clarify that for me.
there is a double yellow line rule.
Ooh, okay, so looks like Evan's gonna have some work to do after this race.
Oof.
I think it would only be Chambliss, but I think Garrett can also argue he was avoiding a collision with Joseph Tice, because Tice, like he mentioned in that interview, he was out to dry in turn 3, and then the pack caught him like a pack of hungry wolves. Because there's really nowhere for the 84 to go. Like he's gonna go right here. He's gonna get a shove from Lariah.
Well,
I mean, he does advance his position, but
what he could have done is give Joseph Tice a nice little shove. Maybe that would have promoted Tice to the race victory. But we got some time in between now and the start of our second duel, just over 15 minutes. And before we get into talking a bit more about the SimSeats Real Sim Racing Cup Series, let's give a bit of a shout out to our sponsor SimSeats, because since 2009, SimSeats have been designing and fabricating high-quality, made in the USA driving simulators, including motion systems, complete turnkey iRacing packages, and custom fabrication. Their customer base includes all racers from amateur to the pro ranks, and everyone on the SimSeats team is a weekend racer too. Their passion for racing drives them to build better sim racing equipment, and you can join SimSeats for the thrill of racing anytime, any day, any car, and any track by visiting sim-seats.com to learn more. So shout out to series sponsor SimSeats, because Dylan, we're not even at round 1 of the season, and quite honestly, the last 2 weekends have been quite exciting for me. I got to prep for the iRacing Super Speedway, now for Daytona, and next week we'll finally get our schedule underway with round 1 at the Daytona 250, and it's a long journey all the way to Phoenix for our final 4.
Yeah, it was a great bit of racing. The Clash was exciting, had a rare winner, and I will say, we still have one more duel to go, and if it's as exciting as that one was, we're going to see... and there's also fewer spots here that you can actually get yourself into the Daytona 250. So we're going to see a lot of shenanigans, as Jonathan likes to say, happen here.
25 scheduled starters, and if Nick Mara, who will be assigned to the pole position, finishes 20th or higher, the top 21 will finish. If Mara doesn't finish in the top 20, just like we saw de Blasio do in that first duel, it will be the top 20 that advance, Jonathan. So, like Dylan says, a bit more cutthroat in this duel, rather, you'd have to expect. Only 20 spots on offer, and there's some big names in here. I'm looking through this entry list. None of your champions, definitely, but still some very exciting names that you usually see towards the front of these fields.
Australia would like to disagree with you. Matt Danson is the defending Winter Series champion.
Oh, I missed him.
Yeah, it took a fight to Andrew Freenage, and with all these road courses on this schedule, that 05 car is going to be a menace to deal with. And that 88 is fast on the road courses too, and we got 2 great battles at Indianapolis and Montreal. So it's going to be a season-long duel between those two.
You are very right. I don't know how I was scanning through the list and I missed Matt Danson on there. I'm not sure how I missed our Winter Series champion. Dylan, you got to compete with Matt Danson. He's a very, very quick driver.
Just a little bit. Not really. You know, can beat him in a 40-yard dash. He's very fast. He's really good. Danson is the only driver in the Winter Series that even put a flame against Freenage and obviously won the Winter Series. The one thing that Freenage was always the king of was road courses. And typically every single year you go into it. This year I think we have, 6 on the SimSeats schedule. Well, Danson is now the king of road courses, and Freenage is usually sitting pretty in second. So this is going to be interesting. The one thing is, it comes down to the final 4, which is at Phoenix. So, I mean, it's a 30-race season. So much can happen in that time, and because of the playoff system, anyone can make it into the final 4. So, as long as you win a race and finish, I believe, top 25 in points for the championship, you are you're good. You're in the playoffs. I could win next week, and as long as I am not lower than 25th, doesn't matter what else I do, I'm in the playoffs. So, obviously, that's at a. I don't love the way it works, but it gives people like me a chance to compete when we otherwise wouldn't be able to for a championship. So, looking forward to seeing what time I can get against Danson in that 40-yard dash.
I would pay to see that as well. I think it would be a bit less competitive than you're assuming, given what we saw in that Winter Series. I will say, I looked at the schedule on a number of times over the last couple of weeks, and I've really been regretting not signing up, not because of the ovals. You know me, Jonathan. I prefer the road courses, but like Dylan says, there's some great tracks that we're going to go to, and it's going to be interesting just how dominant Farinaj can be and what he's going to be able to do to use that momentum come the playoffs when we're whittling it down from 6 to 8 and then down to 4.
I think the weirdest thing about the schedule, it was 16 to 8, then down to 4.
Yes, no, I realize I made my
16
mistake.
to 8, or if we're going by height, 6 to 5.
I think the interesting thing about all these road courses is that they're not on the beginning of the schedule. They're in this middle summer stretch, you know, a stretch that like Tony Stewart in real life racing made famous for being good at. You know, we have Sonoma, then an oval, then Watkins Glen, then 2 ovals, then Road America. So it's really going to be a weird momentum builder towards the playoffs, especially since the playoffs only has the Charlotte Roval, which is a road course with 2 ovals in the middle of it. At least that's how I view it. So really anything can happen, and the nice thing about the playoff system is that you might be able to get a win on strategy at the road courses, depending on the race length, depending on the tire strategy. Some drivers that can put their big brains to use can really try and steal one.
I mean, are you really saying that you can beat Farinaj even on strategy? Because that's a bold claim.
There was a couple guys that tried to, and I think in this season and in this playoff system, you have to try and think outside the box. And there are other drivers besides Matt Danson and Farinaj. We haven't really talked much about Daniel Eberhardt. He won 6 races last season, and the winter season was about as much of a roller coaster as you can define it as. 3 DNFs, but then 1 back-to-back races in the middle of them. So he's still going to be a factor, especially on the ovals. And there's still other mid-pack runners that we saw kind of like taking it to the next level. We saw a few of them here tonight in this first duel. We're going to see a bunch of them again. Jeremy Miller was the winner of the Talladega race in the Winter Series. He lines up second. He called himself a super speedway stud. I want him to prove it right now. I want him to go out and get another one.
Well, I'll throw out some names from my experience commentating on this series last year. The likes of Joseph Tice, Michael Laraya, we saw them in that first duel. Also very strong competitors. Their championship fight kind of petered off at the end of last year. Maybe we can take a look at the schedule and run you through the entire 30 weeks from round number 1 next week at Daytona all the way through to our championship finale, because like Jonathan was saying, there's a few interesting trends in the schedule. When you look at this, Jonathan, what are the weekends that really stand out for you as the weekends where you really think the championship is really going to be defined by?
I think that entire month of August right there, you have Watkins Glen, Michigan, and Daytona, and each of those 3 are very, very different and unique challenges. And Daytona obviously being the cutoff race, Watkins Glen being that last, non-oval before the Charlotte Roval, that road course, that's going to be key. And then Michigan, that's a very unique track, and that's a track that brings a lot of exciting racing. I think if you can get going in those last 3 races of August, you can be a really good playoff contender.
And the playoffs themselves are their own beast, and you and Evan will have plenty of opportunity to talk about them throughout the course of the 20 regular season races. So we'll focus in on the regular season for now. The one that stood out for me when I'm looking at it just now, other than the road courses, is round 5. Bristol, hopefully on dirt, come March 29th, because of course the iRacing team is working in close conjunction with the NASCAR sanctioning body to get that designed, not just so that they can work on it in the real world, but that we can enjoy it, and some of the real world drivers can test that as well, Jonathan.
It's kind of a secret leak, wasn't it? Wasn't it on like the NASCAR E-Series schedule leak, and they saw Bristol dirt, and everyone just kind of lost their minds? And that's something also we don't know. I don't know a lot of people's experience with dirt racing, especially on iRacing. Mine is very minimal. I know you covered the World of Outlaws, and you've covered the Chili Bowl, so you probably have a little more experience watching that, but, my driving is not that great. I'm not sure who's honestly going to win that race and who honestly has the skills to put it, especially the format. I don't know if it's going to be a straight race or if there's going to be, some heat races involved. It could be a really unique challenge.
And so we've still got just under 8 minutes to go before we'll get underway for our second duel of the day. They were scheduled to start an hour apart, just in case. There were a few more cautions, but of course, we only had that singular caution early on. And then that incident with Jaron Winemaster where Dylan was a bit surprised and I think a little disappointed that the caution didn't come out.
I was severely disappointed, and I think that blame goes to you, Arjuna.
Why me?
Your race control. I mean, you could just, you know, throw the yellow and just say, hey, it's okay. You know,
we don't have debris cautions.
we don't.
Sorry.
We have the debris. We have debris that you have to run onto the track. By the way, what are we liking about this new camera angle that we have? No longer can you see that my room is in fact messy, because I saw that as a YouTube comment once. That I saw this quote. It made me sad, but also will make you laugh. He knew he was going to be on a broadcast tonight and didn't clean up his room. I took that to heart. Now I know I'm going to be on the broadcast, and I still didn't clean my room, but I hid it a little bit. But I do want to know, what should go up on this wall? Literally anything. If I need to get I'm going to get a poster of Arjuna.
No, I've already got the answer. I'm not going to reveal too much. Apparently, I'm on camera now as well.
Yeah, hey, we got the three camera. We just need Dylan Coyle.
We do. What you'll be able to put up in hopefully less than a month's time is a big old race spot.
No.
Yellow and black. What
you want like a
need?
big fat head of the R in the background? Is this
can
part of the sponsorship deal?
I mean, I am doing... now, there were talks of a driver potentially wanting some, let's just say, cash in exchange for a RaceSpot sponsorship. And I'm like, I do it for free.
I would love to have sponsorship as well. Where do I apply, Hugo? Send me the link.
Yeah, Hugo, what's up? No, but there's no sponsorship for all the things. We got Simmel, great musician.
I see your laptop in the background as well.
Yes.
We're not going to mention the drink that you just held up because the
What
NASCAR Coca-Cola series underway tonight with round number 1.
Well, now we can't
the
mention
iRacing service.
Now we can't mention it.
They used all their mentioning in the Super Bowl, honestly, yesterday. Let's get past that. That's why Coke has
Very
the
true.
NASCAR today. That's where all the Coke money went.
That is where all of the Coca-Cola money went. I do want to go over, though, since we do have 5 minutes left. Jonathan, you have a much better looking camera now. Is it just me, or is...
It's my phone. I have like a phone tripod, like whole setup in here. You might be able to see in the background, I actually have a studio camera that I took out, so I'm going to cover some other things. But no, I've been using my phone. I was using my laptop as well, and that's not been a good
What
camera.
have you noticed?
What's that 44 hanging up behind you there, Jonathan?
Yeah,
is that
I
a
was
bit
wondering
of karting
that too.
bodywork?
That is my karting bodywork. That's
There
the
we go.
first kart I ran when I was 8 years old.
Wow. That's incredible.
We were cleaning up the garage,
Was it
and I stumbled on it before I moved back here, and I said, I'm taking this for my room. I don't care. If you want to throw the rest of the cart out, that's fine. I'm taking that.
That's awesome. Nice little memento of your early endeavors into racing. 4 minutes left in our practice clock. Let's take a look at some on-track action and talk about some of these cars in the field, because we talked about Nick Mara. He'll be starting on the outside of row 1 next week. He's locked in no matter what. It's looking like we've got 23 of the 25 scheduled drivers who are attending today's race. That will make things slightly easier for them, Jonathan, in terms of figuring out how hard they want to defend.
Yeah, and it's, again, going to be about kind of like making friends and seeing where you want to draft with. The Maras have a huge advantage. Well, they're brothers. They're right next to each other. And I also found an interesting fact. These two are not too far away from my hometown in Illinois. I found it out the other day when Nick was apologizing for not being able to get on the interview for the clash when he had, and for getting pole position as well. But they're not too far from me, and I think this is a good sign. There's some good Midwestern pride right now.
And while Nick Mara will line up on the inside of row 1 in this duel, his brother will be on the outside of row 2, so they're pretty close. Be easy for them to link up together. Other notable starters, Matt Danson, we did talk about him. Here's Nick Mara, by the way, on that onboard look with the VR. Danson will be starting back in 9th position, though, Jonathan. Oh, sorry, I'm going to ask you this question, Dylan, since you're joining us for the remainder of the broadcast. Jonathan quite unkindly put the curse on the likes of Daniel Eberhardt and Andrew Freenage. What are you thinking is going to happen this time around?
I think I'm going to pick a winner. Okay?
Go for it. I like this.
The winner will be Jeremy Miller. You heard it here first. Jeremy Miller will win this race. And if he does, what do I got?
He did say he was a super speedway stud. Like, I'm not... He did say that in an interview after Talladega. I'm not...
That's what I listen to. I listen to it. I'm part of it. I am part of these broadcasts, so if I don't listen, then what am I getting paid for? I'm not getting paid for this. That's right. I race.
Yeah, you get the privilege of actually driving the car.
Well, apparently, according to some, it's an overwhelmingly difficult task for me to drive the car.
So shots fired there from Dylan Cole. Less than 2 minutes to go left in practice as cars get their final opportunities to get out onto track, do some practice. The car was down on the grass there as 90 seconds left. Clearly no one getting that much experience. I will ask you, Dylan, what did you learn in your 30 laps? You qualified your way in. Who are you trusting next week? Who are you trying to stay around in terms of drafting help?
I really liked Brian Chambliss as in terms of a drafting partner. I worked with Gary Weaver as well. It's a shame that Tom's not in it. I enjoy drafting with him. But, you know, I think there are a lot of drivers who, at least for me, I feel comfortable riding along with. Now, there are drivers that are new to the series this year.
One of them just won.
That's what I was going to say. Obviously, the winner. Obviously, there's some more comfort there than otherwise. But there are drivers that others will not be necessarily the most familiar with. You know, if you're just racing in the Winter Series and then coming over to the Cup Series like I am, I don't know some of these names. Joe Yakes, not sure if he used to. Jeremy Miller is going backwards, by the way, on track right now.
Yes, I am watching the 27 do that as well.
He did that the race at Dega and then won. There we go.
So clearly it's a good sign then. So Dylan clearly found a couple of people in that first duel, and I think that's what we'll be watching out for here. Slightly smaller grid, 5 seconds to go before we roll it on over into the race session. Cars will line up on the pit road, ready to go racing here for 30 more laps and to secure their spot in next week's opening round of the SimSeats Full Throttle Real Racing Sim Cup and the Daytona 250. Let's take a look at that starting lineup. It will be Nick Mara who lines up on the pole position. Chris Rabel will be on his outside, with Nick Silver on the inside of row 2, and the brother Matt Mara lining up in the 23 car on the outside. Grant Davis for the 24 lines up on the inside of row 3, with Thomas George on his outside.
Liam Sheen, the total downforce number 7 in P7. Jeremy Miller, we've been mentioning he's been a really good driver at these Super Speedways in P8. Matt Danson, defending Winter Series champion in P number 9. Number 10, Joe Yokes, a newcomer to this series. Number 11, it's going to be the number 30 of Michael Kaczynski. And then the number 12 is starting P12 of Ross Cato.
And we'll get an onboard look with Cato potentially. Steve Price lines up in 13th. David Washington, the number 98, was through the wars last year, hoping to start this season off slightly better in 14th, with William Schmidt in 15th and Sean Kalis in 16th. Kyle Kamer lines up in the 8 machine back in 17th, with Mariusz Leszczynski on his outside.
Bradley Burke, a new name as well, in the number 95 in P19. Rhett McBride in the number 5 in P20. Dane Cruz, he was in and out of the Winter Series, just kind of running for fun. Now he's going to try and run for a championship in P21. Anthony Fredericks in the 22nd spot for that number 4. And Agnel Phillip, a driver that I'm kind of expecting to make a big leap this year.
Well, big drama right off the bat once again. Matt Danson does not take to the starting grid, and your Winter Series champion doesn't even appear to be in the race session. He'll have to reconnect as quickly as he can. But that's an unfortunate way, Dylan, to really start off your Cup Series campaign.
Oh my goodness. Liam Sheen just put in the chat, wow. That is a wow indeed. Danson is reconnected, but he is going to have to start from pit lane, which isn't necessarily the worst thing. However, with it being 30 laps, and we only saw one caution in the first duel, without a caution, oh man. Sometimes it pays to be lucky rather than good. So we'll see if he's able to get back into this pack courtesy of a caution. He was starting 9th without it. Oh man, that's painful to see.
And he's going to need a very early caution as he continues to load himself back into the race session and to head himself out onto track.
And Arjuna, I think it would be great to reiterate, what, top 20 make it in? What is the stipulation again?
Yes, so top 20 will make it in. Sorry, top 20, yes, it will be the top 20, not including Nicholas Mara, who takes us to the green flag. Duel number 2 underway here from the World Center of Racing. 30 laps, and we'll have next week's grid for the Daytona 250 locked and loaded. They're single filing themselves out front, as I say that, 3 wide, as the number 9 machine of Thomas George pokes his nose to the outside with absolutely no help, Jonathan. He's going to get hung out to dry.
I think the field's plan was to just get the Mars away from each other, because no one wants to work with that 23 car right now, except Jeremy Miller, who shoving that 23 car to the lead. What a push from that 27.
Not exactly sure why he's doing that, because he's going to aid the two brothers to really get hooked up very, very simply, I would think, at some point in the next few laps. They've actually gotten linked up on the bottom as the 23 and the 32 now link up, and take a look at this. They're already much feistier here, Jonathan, to start off this race than they were duel number 1.
I think Dylan mentioned it. There's a lot of newer names, a lot of guys that are kind of in and out of the winter series. You know, this is a chance kind of to prove themselves, but also a chance really to get comfortable. We really don't know what some of these guys are capable of. That 87 is all the way in 3rd position. He's a newcomer to this series.
Oh, guys, I just have to say, so Danson is just now going into turn 4. There is a possibility he will be lapped in a few laps' time, which he'd get the lucky dog, but you don't want to go a lap down. Another thing is Agnel Phillip, one of those bigger names, is currently just barely stayed in draft at the back of this field. I'll keep an eye on Danson.
Onboard look with Ross Cato then. Look at the focus once again. We talked about Cato 1 week ago, Jonathan. The same focus face, the same calm as we saw at the iRacing Super Speedway. He's already up 8 positions in this race.
I think he's a guy that I'm also looking for to really make a big leap this year. He was really calm and collected during the Winter Series. I just don't think he had the luck and maybe just the amount of practice time I think he needed to really put on a good show. We got a couple of top 10s and 2 top 5s in the Winter Series. And this number 12 machine right now is looking fast. He's pushing this 87 to the lead.
Apparently I misspoke. Danson is already 1 lap down.
There's a car going through the grass. That's Michael Kuczynski. We stay green as the 30 hangs onto it, keeps us under green flag conditions, but he's dropped to the edge of the top 20 and is about to lose out on that leading draft. We'll get that replay up on your screen in a few seconds' time. Just talking about Matt Danson needing a little bit of luck, and unfortunately, it hasn't gone his way. Kuczynski, though, 22nd position. He's now out of that cutting position, Jonathan. He's going to have to work up to that rear group once again.
He's got the 94. He's got a friend back there in Agnel Phillip, and David Washington and Sean Kalist are playing a bit passive right now. They're a bit far off the draft than I honestly would expect them to be. You know, Sean was very aggressive in the clash. We get a replay of what happened here.
Bradley Burke.
Oh, that's an interesting one if I do say so myself, because it looks like the 95 wanted to go high, and the 30 wanted to go with him, but was a little late on that call, and there is a problem.
Yeah, 2 into 1 never works out. Front of your field. Oh, look at this, 3 wide. Bold move to the outside. What are you seeing there, Dylan?
Danson is now 2 laps down, but he's up to speed now, and he's going to try and get to the front of this pack to, for his sake, get back on just 1 lap down. If he's 1 lap down, then hey, he's going to get a lucky dog back to the lead lap if there is a caution another thing, he might be a lap down and still be qualifying if there are cars that miss out in the qualification, but he is going to be one of the more aggressive drivers in this field right now, and he has to be.
And he's about to get swarmed by that leading pack, that 12 machine of Kato. The only car now getting pushed on that outside line is everyone down to the inside as they wait to pass around Matt Danson, your Winter Series champion. 6 laps into this race, 30 on the docket. And I think right now, if you're Matt Danson, Jonathan, you're not hoping to cause a caution, but you're not going to make things easy for some of these guys.
I think he's in a bad place, though, right here, because he's behind the Maras, and that's a good place to be in terms of drafting. But, look, he's got a line to his outside. He's stuck in the middle lane right here, and he doesn't have a gap to try and get to the outside.
Oh, no! When he gets turned, he's going to cause a big issue. 4 or 5 cars are going to get caught up in this one. Oh, no, it's even bigger than that. And I was just saying Matt Danson doesn't want to cause the caution, and unfortunately, your Winter Series champion causes the big one. Dylan, take a look at this replay, and I think it was just Danson trying to stay in this leading pack a bit too aggressively, and you'll see here, it comes unstuck.
That is completely on Danson right there. Sheen is incredulous on the radio, and he deserves to be. Like I said, Danson was going to be the most aggressive driver in this field. Sheen says, why would you go back up and then come back down? And Sheen is saying, and I'm quoting this, not only were you brake checking me, but he said 3 laps, he's 2 laps down, but you're 3 laps down and you're taking out the field, God. So
I think
people are upset.
It was Dane Cruz that he got into. I don't think Liam knew that the 46 car was there. We're going to get an onboard view of him right now. We see he's working with the 05. And again, you mentioned this earlier, there's not a lot you can do on the bottom in here. You have to let up going into these corners. He's going to look high, Liam's going to look low, and then after the 05 gets into the 46, there was really nowhere from Liam to go.
And so we'll wait to see how many cars come down the pit lane.
Wow.
But I think it's clear that, unfortunately, there's going to be some words exchanged post-race, and your Winter Series champion is going to be bearing the brunt of some of his competitors' displeasure. You can see there, it was just a very aggressive move. And I was saying there, Dylan, that you want a caution to happen, of course, but you don't want to be the cause of it.
Yeah, no. And that won't do anything for you. If you're involved in the incident, you're not going to get the lucky dog. Danson might have gotten himself, we don't know exactly who's completely out of the race or anything of the sort. We won't know until we're back going green. We'll see where everyone is in terms of laps, what lap they're on. My goodness, Danson, that was really bad. That was really bad. You don't see that incident ever happening with the driver of his caliber. I mean, you might see him get involved, but not the fault of. And he's a good guy. Just really not the best bit of racing there. You're already on the back foot. So you're already on the back foot. You were saying?
No, I was going to say 9 cars staying out there. New race leader, the number 87 of Joe Yakes, as you take a look of the 05 car stationary on the pit road. Seeing a number of comments in the session chat as well from drivers expressing their displeasure with that Winter Series champion and his move there. Looks as though 19th on back, still stationary in the pits. Nick Silver, Grant Davis, Liam Sheen, William Schmidt, and Matt Danson. And so we'll wait and see, like Dylan says, until the end of this caution period, until we see how damaged some of these cars are. Danson has claimed this caution, so that will be going down on him. But we will see if anything's going to happen post-race as well. I'm sure there's drama in the iRacing production truck with the eNASCAR Coca-Cola Series opener, but Evan's going to have a lot of excitement, I think, Dylan, to look at come the conclusion of that broadcast.
I'm a little weary in saying what was just said over the radio, and I'm not sure if you heard it as well, Arjuna, but let's just say Liam Sheen is still not impressed with that type of driving there. Did you hear what he said?
I had a broadcast right before this where I was producing, so I don't have the voice chat enabled, but I think that's going to be my next step right now, so I can listen into this frustration. Lights are off on the pace car, so we're about to go back to green flag racing, as it looks like a couple of drivers trying to key up on the radio and say something. But Jonathan, here we go then. Looks like we're going to have 19 cars in this leading group, as a number of them now try and claw up onto the back of it.
Well, I think everyone needs to kind of put their money where their mouth is. If they're complaining about the 05, then that means all of you are under watch for not making any moves like that. And I want to give partial blame to the 77 a little bit, just because he saw him go up and went immediately for that gap. And it might have been a little bit aggressive. Maybe he assumed that 05 was going to stay there. I don't know on that one.
So first caution on lap 8 in duel number 2. We only had one caution in our opening duel, and hopefully we'll go green flag racing for the remaining 20 laps in this second heat. William Schmidt still on the pit road, so looks like he's actually going to fall behind Matt Danson, as Danson's already joining the rear end of this group as the pace car makes its way back down onto the safety of pit lane. Jeremy Miller, Joe Yakes at the front of your field. Green flag waves once again. Very poor start from the 23. Big step up as we come across the start-finish line. Yellow flag's about to wave in just a few moments' time, as we've had a huge issue coming back to green flag racing. Caution is still not out yet, though, Jonathan. I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen here.
I don't know if the 32 blew an engine or spun the tires, one of the two, but that outside line just did not go for whatever reason.
So Matthew Mara is giving an apology right there. He said he just never got going, and I'm sure we'll see it in a replay soon enough. Yeah, Mara never got going, stacked everybody up.
So craziness then, as we're now into the second third of this race, and now big grouping between first and 11th starting to break away from the rest of your pack. We'll try and get that replay up on your screen of that restart in a few moments' time, as Joe Yakes, Ross Cato first and second on the inside lane, with Jeremy Miller on the 27, now trying to work the outside. Nicholas Mara in 32nd. His brother in the 23 now drops to 9th position, and I'm still a little bit lost for words at what we just saw.
It either had to be he was in the wrong gear, or he just spun the tires, or I just don't. Yeah. I just don't know. But that's significant damage on a lot of those drivers, and Danson walks away scotch-free. If he stays within draft, these guys could be put laps down and be down in there with him. And those are also big names. There's Silver, there's Price, there's Kamer.
That's some really big names, as now we look at this lead group. It's very much decimated in terms of numbers, but still very angry, coming down to the start-finish line once again. Couple of drivers keying themselves up on the radio again. I'm guessing, Dylan, there's more displeasure that they're sharing with each other.
Yeah, you have you have it tuned in right now. It's a lot of fun to listen to. Just sometimes it's fun to hear people frustrated when it's not yourself. And I'm happy. It's amazing the dichotomy we're seeing with Duel 1 to Duel 2. Some suspect driving from some people you wouldn't expect to see that from in Duel 2. I guess when the thing on the line is making sure you're in to the big race, it's a little different than the big race itself, if that makes sense.
So on the outside looking in right now, Matt Danson and William Schmidt. Danson out on track, 2 laps down. I'll be hoping that some of his competitors get mixed up in more issues. Onboard look with Matthew Mara, down 4 positions after that crazy restart. Unfortunately for him, he was the root cause of it. And no caution flew, so I don't think there's any penalty points coming down for him. But in the race lead now, Jeremy Miller, who was pushed there by Mariusz Lukensky.
No!
Oh, and now that leading group is splintered up once again. 6 cars all spreading themselves out
no
across the
yellow?
track, and we're once again still under green flag conditions. Not sure what's happening here.
Yeah, so that looks like a yellow. There we go. That was weird.
So not sure exactly what's happening in this race. It seems like I might have to have a bit more involvement in race control than I was expecting. Evan Pasoko and I will have a discussion about my race control fees after the race, but yellow flag is out then. And we'll take a look at this replay in a few moments' time. That leading group all gotten split up, and looks like we're now going to regroup. And despite the fact, Dylan, that a number of cars are going to have significant damage, we'll be back to one angry swarm of cars. And what we've seen in the opening half of this race is we're now into lap 16. It's going to be quite crazy.
Wasn't Kaczynski, we'll get the replay here, wasn't Kaczynski involved in the first incident at some point, or an incident? Because it looks like he comes down low. Ugh.
He got tagged by
that's right.
He went up and got tagged by the 95. They're trying to side drive to the tri-oval, and I thought I mentioned in this first race, no. That it gets both cars upset. It's that banking right there that when you come back out in the flat, the car is just not settled down. You don't have the downforce to do that. So, you know, I understand what the 87 and the 30 are trying to do. They're trying to get back up towards the front and then just into the side of the 03, and there's really nowhere for the Maras to go. Both Mara cars are damaged, but the 03 is severely damaged as well.
So you can see the aftermath of that incident. We'll wait and see. Grant Davis now down one lap as well. So that opens the door for Danson to make the show once again. Drivers down on pit road this time around. Lots of damage repairs expected, Jonathan. We'll see which cars are down on the lane.
Yeah, there's going to be a number of takers, and I don't know how much damage a lot of these guys have. You can see like the front end on a few of them, but you know, rear end. Oh, well, that's interesting. There's a little bit of collision going into pit road.
Oh my goodness! What is with the drivers in this race?
Well, sometimes when you do come down into that slow lane, you can actually touch the cars around you. Not always will you just ghost through them, as we get a look at what appears to be about 20, just under 20 cup cars stationary on pit lane, all getting significant damage repair. You can see everyone's been in their box for longer than 16 seconds already, Jonathan, and I mean, why not take as much repairs as you can at this point in time? Everyone's got damage. It might just be the story of who's got the least damage.
And a lot of it depends, especially on the aero. These cup cars are so aerodynamic sensitive nowadays. Even a slight contact like we saw the Maras get into can really be devastating. And I think the good news for some is that, well, there's only one spot that can change positions. William Schmidt's several laps down in the 49, so it's really that a 20-second spot that Matt Danson's in. That's the spot you don't want to be in.
Take a look at the cars cycling their way around. Sorry, Dylan, what were you about to say?
I was just going to say Danson is still on pit road. I do wonder if he suffered a lot more damage in the incident.
And he's in danger.
He's been timing it out pretty well.
Yeah, he's in danger of losing that lap. He's still stationary right now. Rolls off now, so you see a few cars going to beat the pace car out. They'll work their way around, potentially dive back down onto the lane for one final opportunity. If we get that opportunity. Lights are off on the pace car, so no, we're going back to green flag racing next time around.
Already on lap 18 as well, so this is going to be a barnstormer of a finish, or as we like to say in the hockey world, a gong show.
Oh, I like that. I might have to steal that just a little bit.
You like that, you jabroni?
Gong shell. Did I say that right?
Gong show.
Oh, gong show.
Yes, a gong show.
Well, what's happening to Ross Cato down on that inside line? He's falling back in the 12 machine.
I'm wondering if he got a passing under yellow penalty.
Yeah, I'm thinking of an EOL.
It's a bit of confusion then here as they all try and form up once again. See the bus stop chicane? couple of weeks ago, we were here for the iRacing Daytona 24-hour race. Great viewership live on RaceSpotTV, and we cracked 16,000 subscribers. If you're not already subscribed to us on YouTube, you can hit that red button and the bell next to it to get notified every single time we go live with more sim racing action. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, and Instagram. We also have a Discord server that we're becoming a little bit more active in. So cars formed up, and Ross Cato's very slow here. I'm not sure what's going on, Jonathan.
If he has an end of the longest line penalty for passing under the yellow or something like that, he's got to wait for all these cars to get back up. And since they're damaged, they take quite a while to get back here.
Schmidt's out
at full speed.
So William Schmidt back out onto track. As you can see, the car's forming back up. No one does a Kyle Busch restart. Ross Cato finally takes his position back in line. Very awkward formation there, but somehow this is a cleaner start than the last time around. So no one spins as we come to the start-finish line. Working lap number 19 out of 30, so not yet at that crucial second stage of the Duel just yet, and already you can see big gaps starting to form here.
Everyone likes that bottom line.
Well, now we'll get that first indication, Dylan, of just how slow some of these cars with damage further back are, as I'm seeing some cars with a very big push still managing to fall several tenths off the back right now.
Yeah, we're seeing that mightily right now, and it's affecting a lot of the drivers in the back of the field. I'm mainly looking at what I believe, Liam Sheen in the 77 is having some difficulty even when he's getting pushed. So it's really a race of attrition right now, as Dane Cruz is in the lead of this race. 3 cars with pink in the car, one way or another, are all in the top 3. These 3 drivers, Cruz, Arable, and Miller, well, they've been pretty clean. Their cars are very nice looking compared to the majority of the rest of the field. I wonder if they've had any real incidents to even make a note of.
You definitely can't call them factory fresh with all the dirt that's been flung up onto the bodies, but you're very right, looking much cleaner than the rest of their competitors. For a few moments, by the way, back in the pack, Liam Sheen was getting pushed by Matt Danson. I'm not sure how Liam Sheen felt about that, and now Danson has gotten around him and started to clear the 77. Update on your elimination situation here, Jonathan. Nick Mara finds himself in that top 20, and as a result, the top 21 will advance. Michael Kuczynski in that final transfer spot right now. Matt Danson 1 lap down. He's got some work to do if he wants to get back into this one.
Yeah, but that 03 is heavily damaged. I think I see him in the end of shot here trying to hang on for a draft. That might be the 30. They are very similar paint scheme as those two are teammates. But you're going to have to hang in the draft and hang on if you're Kuczynski, or even Davis and Price. Those two were also very heavily damaged in those last crashes. They need to try and hang on.
And Dylan, right now, single file. If you're these cars out front, why not do this? Pull away from those cars with damage. Make it so that those final few laps of the race, you're the only guys really fighting it out at the front.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it comes down to. Just relax a little bit. Rhett McBride said something about just waiting until the final lap. That way, if there is anything that happens, well, there's not going to be a caution. There's not going to be any way for drivers a lap down to get an extra lap or so. That would make it so Danson is out of the Daytona 250. Could you imagine the storyline if that happens? It's realistic at this point.
The story coming into the season was, could Matt Danson be the driver to finally challenge Andrew Farinaj and make it so that that number 88 doesn't make it 4 for 4. For now, though, Danson on the outside looking in, doesn't want to miss out on Daytona, but has a... Basically, he's just hoping and praying that others will come unstuck. There you take a look at the 05 car getting a push along from the number 95. And again, Jonathan, I'm going to put you on the spot here. This is your fault. You're the one who started us all off by putting the curse on the likes of Farinaj and Eberhardt.
Whoa.
I like blaming Jonathan.
The commentator's curse for the 05's accident was not me on that one. So I will take the blame on Farinaj and Eberhardt. I will not take the blame Danson's, because you guys mentioned he had to be aggressive and get to the front. That's what he tried to do, and unfortunately there was just no room for error.
Is there something wrong with Danson's car?
I think
he's dropping
aerodynamically he
off.
just can't be pushed.
He's
Wow.
dropping off hard right now as well. This will not help him as out front, they're starting to fight a little bit more. Looks like Agnell Phillips poking his nose to the outside of Joe Yates. Sorry, that's the other way around. Joe Yates on the outside of Agnell Phillips as Phillip gets on past. Single file the top three. Jeremy Miller still menacing in that rearview mirror. And here comes some lap traffic as well.
This is something I want to mention. Kaczynski is now 2 laps down, the same lap that Danson is on right now, and Danson is just now passing, now has the draft. Kaczynski and Danson are going to have to compete for this final spot.
But Kaczynski needs to get in the draft of that leading group. He's trying to do that, trying to build up speed, still below 300 kilometers an hour. Danson behind reels him in. That gap will come down, and Dylan is right. We have a fight for that final transfer position, and it all started because of that incident that kicked off when Matt Danson made his way into the field. So what's going to happen here? We always like exciting finishes here. Don't usually expect them, Jonathan, to be from cars scrapping it out 2 laps down.
Or cars that are scrapping it out that have been through the wars at Daytona. Normally it's the cars that are very clean that are scrapping it out. But here, we go back to the front. Dane Cruz has been a mid-pack runner. Chris Rabble's new to the series. Jeremy Miller, a mid-pack runner that's great in the super speedways. There's still a fight for this win that could really mean a lot to all of these drivers up here, or even Agnell Phillip or McBride, both of these two.
They'll be starting on the outside of row 2. Sorry, Dylan, what are you hearing on the radio?
I was going to say I'm hearing a little bit of picture-in-picture is in our race spot future.
Oh yeah, because they're too wide, too deep further back. Agnell Phillip involved there as Joe Yates as well. Looks like Nicholas Mara starts to fall through the field. He might be getting hooked up with his brother in the 23 car, try and pull his brother to the front. So at the start of next week's race, they're able to work together. Lap traffic down on the inside, and they'll try and clear him around the outside. The 94 of Agnell Phillip gets squeezed. Contact between Matthew Mara and the car in front of him. A couple of cars checked up, and 6 cars breaking away now, Jonathan, at the front of this field.
Yeah, most of the lap cars have been high. That time the 22 decided to stay low, and I think it caught everyone off guard a little bit. Everyone was panicking and trying to move around, find where to go, and you see a lot of damaged cars in this just lead pack right here too that are, I think, just trying to limp home.
Guys, I'm sorry to cut you off. Danson has just passed Kaczynski, and they are side by side, 2 laps down for the final transfer spot. But it looks like Sheen is holding Danson up.
There's a bit of gamesmanship being played here. As you can see, the 77 works against the 05 of Matt Danson. Danson able to get on by, but Kaczynski now has a car between him and Matt Danson. 3 laps to go, 7.5 miles as we get this side-by-side look. Battle for the race lead on the left-hand side, battle for the transfer on the right. Look at the blue and white versus that 30 machine, the black, green, and orange. That's the battle to watch out for. But on the left-hand side of your screen, Jonathan, they're starting to form up for that drag race to the line.
Yeah, and again, there's so many just interesting players right here. You have 2 newcomers to RSR in the top 5, the 87 and the 29, Chris Rabble and Joe Yates. Chris Rabble ran in the clutch. This is the 87's first race, and he's really impressed me so far. He's been staying to the front and staying out of trouble.
Kaczynski gets the push from behind that holds Danson at the line just behind him. 2 laps to go. Both sides of your screen, the battle intensifies. Matt Danson, the Winter Series champion, doesn't want to miss out on that outside line. On the left-hand side of your screen, they're fighting for the honor of starting at the front next week. 29 laps are done in just a few moments' time. We'll get the white flag as well. Jeremy Miller is pushing along Dane Cruz right now. And at the back, it looks like Matt Danson is not going to be able to get past Michael Kaczynski. White flag in the air then, Jonathan. Single file for the top 3.
Who makes a move? Who blinks first? And I think it's going to be that 27 that's going to have to make the first move on Dane Cruz.
At the back as well, Danson falls further behind Kaczynski, so Danson's in danger as we come down the back straightaway. That's the Chris Rabel pokes to the outside. He's got no assistance just yet as he waits for that 80 machine to get hooked up with him. They lose more momentum, and Jeremy Miller is pushing Dane Cruz as we exit turn number 4. Remember, they can't go below the double yellow. They hook though. Dane Cruz and Jeremy Miller, they're touching doors at the line. Dane Cruz is going to start on the outside of row number 2. Another exciting finish here in the duel, but back in the pack, is it going to be Danson or Kaczynski? Danson is pushing that rival, and we've already seen him getting mixed up before, all the way to the line. He looks below the double yellow. That will get him in trouble. He's still not going to get the position at the line because Kaczynski gets the push and holds on to 21st position by 1/1000th of a second.
Oh, at least
Have you ever?
That was unbelievable. Passing below the yellow line penalty now. At least you don't have that to worry about.
Wow.
So, absolutely insane. It's Dane Cruz in the 46, though, that will celebrate victory here in Duel 2, Jonathan. And again, what a way to kick off your season.
I think I got to run this by Evan, but I don't know if we've had 2 first-time winners for duels. We have 2 first-time winners. Combined RSR starts, they've only had 11. Cruz has only run 9 races in the Cup Series. And what a way to kick it off. Unfortunately, Boosted is no longer the title sponsor, but it's good to have the former title sponsor in your car.
Some real momentum then for some brand new race winners in the SimSeats Real Sim Racing Cup Series. Trevor Trago, Dane Cruz, row number 2 in next week's Daytona 250. Let's take a look at the final SimSeats race result from Duel 2 here at the World Center of Racing. Because what a finish we had, not just at the front of your field, but at the back of it as well. Dane Cruz in the 46 takes the win by 0.02 of a second from Jeremy Miller on the outside. Rhett McBride in 3rd with Nicholas Mara 4th. Chris Rabel in 5th. Joe Yates in that 87 machine comes home in 6th with Agno Phillip, David Washington, Kyle Kamer, and Anthony Fredericks rounding out the top 10.
Look further back. Lashinsky able to limp that car home in the 03. Matthew Mara starting towards the front. Unfortunately, now is going to have to start a bit more mid-pack. Probably not what exactly he wanted. Sean Kalis, a very quiet race for the 43, able to qualify. Bradley Burke, after getting involved with Kaczynski in an earlier contact, it comes in 14th. Ross Cato in 15th. Thomas George, first-time racer as well, in 16th. Nick Silver, changing from the 24 to the 3, he's able to keep it there. Liam Sheen, who's got involved in a few incidents and had a few kind words for the 05, finishes 18th. Stephen Price in 19th and Grant Davis in 20th.
Final page of results then, but the crucial one. Kaczynski 21st, Danson 22nd, Schmidt 23rd. Kaczynski locks himself into next week's race. He'll be starting all the way at the back, Dylan, but nevertheless, he's starting the race itself. And the first race of the season, you don't want to miss out being on the grid. But ultimately, it's Dane Cruz's day, and Trevor Trago as well, 2 first-time winners, and what a way to really celebrate a brand new season of racing action.
Well, I did pick Jeremy Miller to win the race, so he did finish second by a few hundredths or thousandths of a second. I think that's less of a curse than what Jonathan likes to do. But I will say this. Hey. Yes. I will say this. The fact that we had 2 simultaneous battles going on was incredible. And full marks to Michael Kaczynski. He had a slower car by 15 plus miles per hour. And you know what he did? He got his car back in the draft, was able to hold Danson off even at the very end when he was locked behind him. Unbelievable job by Kaczynski. Danson's going to be very upset after this one. And you know what? It was his internet. At the end of the day, his internet is what put him on the back foot. We got the replay right now. 49 is right above Danson. I mean, it would have been a passing below the yellow penalty anyway. So at this point, Kaczynski is already safely in. But even then, Danson can't get the job done. Unbelievable job. Hats off to Michael Kaczynski for getting that final transfer spot. And wow, just great racing at the end. Maybe a little bit suspect racing in the mid portions of this one. But overall, 2 fantastic action-packed duels.
It's time for post-race interviews as well, and another first-time winner in the Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series. Let's bring in Dane Cruz then, and Jonathan Burke is standing by with your race winner.
And Dane, it's Jonathan in the booth. You have a copy?
Yeah, I do.
Well, you started midway through the summer last year in the Cup Series, started 9 races, got 1 top 10, and you ran a little bit in the Winter Series. What is it like to come here with the former title sponsor in your car and get a really good win in the duels?
Honestly, I can't believe we did that. I didn't expect to come out here and win the season opener, or well, the duel, second duel. I just wanted to make the race, and I'm glad to have Boosted on the car for the season and represent them in the Clash and by winning here.
All right, so you're going to start pretty high up in the field. What did you kind of learn from this race that you can apply to the Daytona 250?
It's probably going to be a bit of a wreck fest, I bet, telling from how this was. It wasn't that bad, I guess, but there were a couple wrecks there, and I weaved my way through that one with the big one coming out of the tri-oval. I can't believe I made it through that one. That was about like 2 centimeters being involved in that one.
Yeah, it was close call. You made it home with a clean car, and I think at the end of the day, that may be the best thing ever. And then what's kind of your expectation for this series? I mentioned you only ran 9 races last season in that middle part in the summer. You ran some of the Winter Series. What are you expecting going forward for the rest of your season?
I want to make the chase. That's pretty much the big goal there. I don't really know what else I want to do. Maybe get a couple top 10s and just run well, run consistent. But making the chase is going to be the big one there.
All right, and finally, do you have any sponsors, anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go, Dane?
Yeah, just Boosted, and check them out, Boosted Club, and I drive for Peak Performance Motorsports, so give them a shout out too, why not?
All right, well, congratulations on your first career win. Even though it's not a points win, you'll be starting in that second row for the Daytona 250.
All right, thank you.
That was Dane Cruz, first-time winner, and I think excited about kicking off the season next week on the outside of row number 2. Let's bring in Jeremy Miller, finished second in today's race, and Jonathan Burke is standing by.
Hey, Jeremy, it's Jonathan in the booth. You have a copy?
10-4.
Well, you won the Talladega race in the Winter Series, and you were about 2 inches from winning this duel and getting 2 consecutive restricted plate tracks. How close was it pushing Dane at the end there? When did you think you had to make that move?
I mean, honestly, I thought coming out of 4, even going into 3, he had it. There just wasn't enough development in the pack behind me to like get a push. I could build a run up as much as I wanted, but I'm not gonna get that pass off without the development. I think there was like 6 of us coming to the line, and that was it. And it's very hard to make a pass with that few cars like developed in a pack.
And we kind of mentioned you were kind of touting around at the end of Talladega and saying you were one of the big restrictor plate racers, and you managed to stay out of trouble. What was it like trying to find your way through all that chaos and trouble, especially early on in the race?
The safest place of these things is the lead, and I went from 8th to 1st in the first lap, and I felt like that was pretty good, and I don't think I dropped further than like 3rd the rest of the race, and that's typically where you're not going to get wrecked unless you're really unfortunate, which I almost was. I almost got turned leading with that big one that happened in 2nd, but I was able to miss that out of pure luck. But I mean, I think a lot of it comes down to my reps in practice. Just driving around this track in reverse really gives me a sense of the car control I'm going to need throughout these plate races, and that's definitely the key to my success.
And don't worry, we did get some camera time of you driving in reverse. If you are interested, it is on the broadcast. And then what are your expectations for this season? You made that big win at Talladega in the Winter Series. You're really showing some good pace here. What is kind of the goal for you?
Hopefully make the playoffs. Might take a win. So looking at the 3 plate races beforehand, almost won Michigan in the Cup Series last season as well. So maybe somewhere like that, Auto Club, Chicago. Actually, we won't go there. But there's a few good tracks for me that I think maybe I could just have the right tire strategy or something to get to victory lane. But other than that, it's just going to be a grind and try to make it to the playoffs. But there's a lot of good drivers here, so being top 16 will definitely be tough.
All right, and before we let you go, anyone you want to thank, any sponsors, any people out there watching?
Just thank everybody watching out there. My friends all at HBR, they're just helping me out in iRacing here. We're working towards our lifelong dream of becoming a Psyduck.
All right, well, thank you for talking with us, Jeremy. We hope to get to talk to you again sometime this season, and we'll see you next week at the Daytona 250.
Thanks.
That was Jeremy Miller, driver of the 27. One final interview then. Third step on the podium in duel number 2, Rhett McBride, driver of the 5, and Jonathan Burke is standing by.
Hey, Rhett, you're a long-time runner in the series, been running since 2013. You know, getting back on the track, a lot of new faces around you this time. What was it like kind of mixing in with some of these newer drivers?
It was fun. I was kind of just sitting there with Chris, and I know he and David were running around together a little bit before this race, so I figured that would probably be a smart thing to do, is hang out with those guys and just try to make it to the end.
Yeah, you were kind of in that middle pack of that lead group, and you know, your car was very clean. Well, many have been through the wars. What was it like trying to avoid all the chaos that was going on out there?
Yeah, that was the tricky bit. That's all I really wanted to do. I mean, these kind of things, they're not much fun because all you're trying to do is dodge the wrecks. And I made the mistake of watching that first race, and it just spooked me even more. I like to race. I don't like to have to ride in circles like that. Well, we do anyway, but I mean, you know, I'd like to race in circles instead of ride around. And tonight you just wanted to, you know, bring it home in one piece, and that's kind of all we were doing. And it was fun because I think I could tell over the radio that Chris wanted to do the same thing, so I was going to work with him. And when he jumped up in that outside lane there at the end, I was trying to get there to his bumper to help push him up there, but there was a car there, so yeah, I had to back out of that and just take what I could get on the bottom.
All right, and finally, this is a good third place finish. What are the goals for this season? Obviously, you ran last season, finished decently in the points, but unfortunately, nothing on the top side of the podium since 2019. Where would you like to see your season go?
Just need to get wins, you know. Like to get some wins and be there in Homestead. I made it in 19, didn't make it in 20, so I'd like to go back in 21. I took a big break after last season and just really hadn't touched the rig since we got finished with this last season. So I got my batteries recharged and I'm ready to go. So hopefully just get a lot of wins and be there in Miami.
All right, well, hopefully we get to see you and talk to you again. And finally, any sponsors, anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Just always want to thank my team, Still Horse Racing, Swanee, Thomas, Jonathan, Greg, who just had a baby, Adam Benefield, who is actually crew chief for Conti tonight, and they got a win over in the Coke Series, so I heard about that while we were racing. So, and then iRacing, iFlag, and Analog Shifters. Yeah, just looking forward to a good season, so just want to thank those guys as always.
All right, Rod, congratulations on the third place finish. We hope we get to talk to you a bit more up here in the booth, and we'll see you next week for the Daytona 250.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
The final step on the podium, Rhett McBride, and he'll start on the fourth row on the outside in 1 week's time when we kick off the SimSeats RealSimRacing Cup Series. And since 2009, SimSeats have been designing and fabricating high-quality, made-in-the-USA driving simulators, including motion systems, complete turnkey iRacing packages, and custom fabrication. Their customer base includes all racers from amateur to the pro ranks, and everyone on the SimSeats team is a weekend racer too. Their passion for racing drives them to build better sim racing equipment, and you can join SimSeats for the thrill of racing anytime, any day, any car, on any track. Visit sim-seats.com to learn more. So closing thoughts here then from the World Center of Racing as we kick off our Daytona Speed Weeks. The Duels are done, and in 1 week's time we'll return, not under the lights, but for the Daytona 250 to kick off 30 races to crown another RealSimRacing Cup Series champion. We'll take one more look at our series schedule, and Jonathan, we'll start it off next week, and you talked about it in between the two duels. This opening portion of the season is all about the ovals, and it's about getting as much momentum as you can heading into the middle portions where we're going to start mixing things up a little bit more.
Yeah, and as we've seen tonight, you can be a newer driver in this series. Maybe not one of those big names yet, but you can get wins here at Daytona and Talladega. You know, again, we had two guys with combined 11 starts in All-SR competition in the Cup Series. Both get their first wins here tonight, which was awesome.
And Dylan, I'll ask you, you're not looking at it from the perspective of a broadcaster. You're thinking about it as a competitor. What's going through your minds? You're locked yourselves in for next week. Now you've got to maybe start thinking about the race itself.
Honestly, the race itself, I'm not too concerned about, because I look at it like this. A lot of it's crapshoot, right? A lot of it is going to be based on, let's be honest, luck. You have to put yourself in the right position at the end of the race to have a chance to win. But a lot of getting there comes from being in the right place at the right time, or better yet, not being in the wrong place at the wrong time. So I think Daytona is when you can't get really a sense of how teams will perform throughout the season there. I mean, look 2 weeks after that, you're at Homestead. Homestead is a little different than it was last year because iRacing now has a lot of physics with the air displacement when you are running close to the wall, which is going to be a major factor with the track in Homestead Miami Speedway. Vegas, we did that in the Winter Series, but it's different because we're in an Xfinity car. If I'm somebody who's racing in the series, which I am, I focus on that fifth race. No one knows what's going to happen. It's going to be Bristol dirt. I'm not sure if that's absolutely confirmed that it will be dirt, but that's what the plan is. And if it is at the dirt of Bristol Motor Speedway, then I have no idea who the favorite there is at all. That will be quite insane. A lot of things that we just don't know. Coda, we've never done that before. So, I'm excited for what this season is going to bring to us. It's going to be weird. It's going to be pretty fun, but it's also going to lead to a lot of drama. You can't really have that much more drama than the champion of the Winter Series not qualifying by just a car length into the biggest race of the season. It's quite astonishing, actually.
Our producer Hugo Luis showing off a little bit more with the fireworks in the background there as we take a look at the schedule, and we'll say goodbye to you just a few moments time. But before we go, I'm going to put each of you on the spot. I like to do this. Jonathan knows this. We start this season off in 1 week. 3 back-to-back racing weekends. We started the Hyperspeedway last week, now at the World Center of Racing, and we'll get a couple of weeks. I'm calling it the Hyperspeedway.
I like that.
It's a new thing. But we'll get the couple of weeks off after next week as, NASCAR heads to Daytona and its own Daytona 500 race. But I'm going to put you on the spot. Who is your favorite? Danson is obviously missing. And Jonathan, you first. Farinaj, can he make it 4 for 4? Or is someone finally going to be able to stop him?
Even with Dancing missing this, I think in this playoff system, even if you miss a race, you can still contend. And there were several drivers last year that missed races in the middle of the season and still made the chase and still contend. Michael Lariah was one of them. He missed 2 or 3 races in the middle of the season. So I'm not counting Danson out. But I also think that the Winter Series proves Freenage isn't invulnerable. Everhart can take wins from him. Lariah can take wins from him. And there was a lot of new guys and new faces tonight, and even some old vets that showed some speed and got some good results. So I say it's game on. And right now I'm picking Danson still, regardless if he's not in the 250.
Dylan, I'm not going to let you pick yourself. Who do you think is going to win this upcoming season?
Oh, I forgot I could pick Dylan.
I was thinking it would be funny, but the whole trope of me being good is kind of sad in itself, so I wasn't going to say it.
You're representing our team right now. At least talk us up a little.
I mean, I'm representing our team, but, you don't really do a good job, Jonathan, when you're jinxing some of the top drivers in the field, like
That's
you
to help
just
you
did
eventually.
to Matt Danson probably for the remainder of the season. I'm going to go... it's fun to say Farinaj or Danson because those are the two drivers that are the most consistent, at least what we've seen, and Farinaj will be the driver to beat. However, we all forget Michael Araya was literally a few laps away from winning if it wasn't for a car that was dozens of laps down, bringing out a caution that absolutely ruined any chance of him winning the championship. Araya was that close. I don't know if Eberhardt has the... he has the talent, he has the speed. He's a little too aggressive when he doesn't need to be too aggressive. Okay. He does know how to conserve tires, though. So I was going to say Eberhardt, because I feel like this could be the year he gets the monkey off his back. But I'm going with the sophomore driver in Michael Araya, who I think is going to be the champion by the end of this season.
So two predictions there. Neither of them your defending series champion. You'll have to tune in 1 week from today as we kick off the SimSeats Real Sim Racing Cup Series. Evan Pasoko will be back in the booth. Series admin and race control will be doing a bit of a better job than me today. But nevertheless, 250 laps on the docket, 250 miles rather, on the docket, and it's going to kick off 30 races to crown a brand new champion. For myself, Arjuna Kankipati, I've been joined by Jonathan Burke and Dylan Cole as our in-race reporter, Hugo Louise down in the production booth controlling all of the action, and we'll see you in 1 week's time for some more Real Sim Racing action.